start my video and say hello everybody, nice to see you to everybody. And as I said, we've got a lot going on today, so I'm going to turn off my video and move on through the meeting as fast as possible. So I just want to check that we have Jill online. We do. Absolutely brilliant. Okie doke. So let's start by talking about what we're covering today. So what we're covering today includes a little bit about membership as usual, then about the website, so updating the website, and I'm going to hand to Jill and her team to talk about that. Then we're going to have a big discussion about future-proofing the reference model, very important, and where we are, what we've been doing so far, what process we've been following, and sharing everything with you. And then we're going to have a panel discussion on timeliness, and that's going to be a very interesting discussion looking at how we manage timeliness within the TMF, and then a little bit about upcoming meetings. So membership, 324 team members on groups.io, and so this is the one that I think the mailing list didn't go out to the mailing list, which is where the notification normally would go, but we've still got 3,000 members on LinkedIn, so hopefully people saw it from that, which is good. So without further ado, just to say there's nothing new to say about ICHE 6R3 that we know of, unless anybody does know anything, and then you can put it in the chat. But without further ado, Jill, I'm going to hand over to you, if that's okay, so that you can talk about the website. And just tell me when you want me to advance the slides.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Karen. Is Adam on the call? Because I know I was going to have a partner in crime today, so I wasn't going to do everything, but I know that Adam was going to join and do the polling. Adam, are you on the line? My worry is that he didn't get the invite either.
No, Adam is online, absolutely.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Adam, no worries, he's there. There you go.
I've just joined, sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to start, Adam, but I know that you were going to answer the poll questions, and I know that we were also going to have our colleague Laurie on, who was going to see if we could capture any kind of free text responses and stuff. So, all right, okay, without further ado, welcome everybody to the meeting. But on behalf of the TMF reference model website content team, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we're doing. If you could advance the slides, Karen. So really our main objective as a team is to identify and recommend improvements really to the look and feel of the TMF reference model website. So as it stands at the moment, it's very functional, and we have some ideas on how it could be improved, but we really want to hear from you guys in terms of what you want to see and what you use the website for. So we want to know what sort of information the website should have on it, how navigation can be improved, so moving from page to page, the types of information that we should have and how that information should be presented. So is it succinct enough? Does it cover everything that it needs to? Once we've kind of really identified those things and recommended those improvements, we want to then tackle how the content can be kept current. So if we need to go back and review that content every so often, you know, what we do, and then sort of look at things from an ongoing perspective. So really maintenance of the website as well. Next slide. So I did want to go into a live demo here. So I don't know, Karen, if I can take the screen and just go through the website myself. Is that okay?
That should be fine. I can stop sharing. Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing. Right, over to you.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Does it look as if it's trying to do something?
No.
Okay, I have pressed share screen, and oh no, it says the host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, so give me 1 second. I didn't realize you wanted to. Are you okay with slides, or do I? Because you have got some stuff on the slides.
Yeah, I mean, I can use the slides. It just we thought it might be more effective to do it live, but let's just use the slides because I don't want to waste anybody's time. Most people are probably very good with that. So let's go back to the slides, Karen. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely no problem at all. Let me just go back to the meeting and share the slides. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So just to remind everybody, this is the point of these slides, just to remind everybody about the current status of the website. So everybody should be aware it's a very, very easy to use URL, very easy to remember. And what that will do, jumping on that URL from any browser, there are no browser functionality restrictions or anything, will take you very much not very quickly, I have to say. I don't know whether it's my browser, but I do think that moving around the website is a bit slow. But when you first hit the URL, you will go to the home page, and it's pretty straightforward. It basically tells you all about the website. There's a lot of information, so it's one of those sites where you have to scroll down to get all of the information with regards to the reference model. And right at the end, there is actually a little notice at the bottom. I don't know if anybody's noticed it, asking if people want to make contributions to the running of the TMF website. So that's something I'd encourage everybody to go back and have a look at. As you can see that there's a tab there for moving through the website. So we've got news forums about the model, FAQs, a bit on the exchange mechanism, resources, login, help and subscribe. So can we go to the next screenshot, Karen, please? I see somebody's just pointed out that news hasn't been updated because the meeting link on the web page is for the July meeting rather than today's meeting. So that's something that we can take into consideration in terms of making sure the content's up to date. So yeah, this is the bit that's at the bottom. As I said, if you were scrolling down, which is what I wanted to show live, that's what you'd see. Next slide. Just a little bit about the news tab. As we've said, it's supposed to actually show relevant news sequentially, so newest to oldest. So apologies if that isn't the case at the moment. The forum bit is very useful, I think, certainly in terms of how the organisation, the reference model is put together. So all of these different community forums that are happening and what they're called. So future-proofing the reference model, the general discussion forum, the where do I file kinds of Q&A, which I know a lot of people use, information about the relevant communications piece that came out recently, adoption of the reference model, archiving, TMF management, the content and processing around that, and electronic signatures. So those are the forums that we have at the moment. Next slide. So the about the model menu link, again, something I wanted to go into live, but if you hit that, there's a lot of information about those working groups, so how you can join up. That will take you to the subscribers login page. There's a separate area for us on the TMF steering committee. There's an intellectual property rights policy, and there's also information about the change request. So there is a change control board that manages all of the change requests to the actual model itself, so the Excel spreadsheet, and there is a form that people fill out so that they can provide that information in terms of things that they would want to put forward to be changed for the next version. Next slide. Just the other areas that we touched upon from the homepage. So the FAQs, commonly asked questions about the model itself, all the links to the exchange reference mechanism, the resources page, so various versions of the actual reference model. I think there's the TMF quality piece on there. There's mind map. There's all sorts of really interesting pieces of information. I go into the resources quite a lot. There's an archive of that, so obviously you can go back and look at previous information. There's an events piece on there, so any up and coming TMF related events, so summits, webinars, etc. The login page, so to actually log in to answer some of those FAQs and the ask the questions about where things should be filed. There's a help link, and then there's a page that allows you to actually join and subscribe to the reference model. So that's how things are actually kind of set up within the reference model website at the moment. As I said, our main objective is to identify how things can be improved around the way the functionality is set up, the look and feel. And to that end, what we've done is we've just put together some questions that we thought if we polled everybody live, it would be a quick and dirty way of getting the information that we need in order for us to go and analyse that and put together recommendations to improve the website. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Adam. I'm going to see if we can do some live polling and get some real-time information from you guys.
Thank you, Jill. And yeah.
So
Karen,
I think I've
you
now
can-
launched the. It says I've launched the polls. Can you
Yes,
see
indeed.
them?
Hopefully, yeah, we can. I can see them. Hopefully, others can see them. So it's actually Karen doing all the work. Thank you, Karen. And fairly self-explanatory. I'm not sure you need me to read them, but yeah, we did work through on our team what we felt was a prudent list of questions, and I think we may suffer today. I guess, Karen, the attendance is modest, partly because of that dodgy link in the calendar entry. So
yeah, I'm as I said, I need to figure out what happened. Nobody's actually emailed me to say they can't get on, and they normally would have known who to email. So I'm hoping that anybody. We're at nearly 60 people now, so we're a decent number now.
It took me a while to figure out it was the 19th of July meeting or something that the link was trying, and then eventually I found your email and had a different link in it, so that worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were conscious that we could.
Quite ironic, though, isn't it, Adam, that we're sitting here talking about the website, and for the first time we've actually, and it is manually updated, so it's purely a communication thing, setting up the events and getting the notifications out. So
hopefully people realize that there's multiple questions here. There's 7 questions, and they couldn't work through the questions. What we'd like to invite you to do is also submit comments through the chat, especially if you've got slightly more to say, and the more the better, frankly. You know, we're doing our we've worked through a set of ideas across the team, and we're sort of looking for validation of those ideas and new ideas and thoughts on how we can evolve the website within the extensive budget envelope that we're working.
Karen, well, there won't be any issues actually exporting the chat out, because I see people are putting some really good comments in there.
Absolutely, there shouldn't be any problem with that at all. I can request the chat like I can request the recording. So I can tell you now that you've had about 50 of the 59 people respond, so that's pretty good in terms of numbers. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I guess a handful of us aren't going to click it because we're on the team anyway, so we're probably not going to get much more. So thank you very much, Karen.
I actually completed it, Adam, because I did actually want to have my feedback included. So I actually think it's a good thing for everybody to do, because this is everybody's, you know, it's the opportunity for everybody to comment so that we can take those recommendations moving forward.
To be fair, we've only got 5 people that haven't commented now, so I think I can end the poll, and I need to share the results. There you go. Can you see the results now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So can somebody please take a screenshot of that, because my view is not good enough. I can't. So if someone could take a screenshot and just email it to me, please, I will incorporate it into the answers into the slides when I send them out.
So you need to give them a while to screenshot different sections as it's
but if we just delegate somebody to do it, then that would be great.
I think we were going to have Laurie on to do that. Laurie from our website team.
Laurie's on. Yeah,
yes, I'm trying to do it, but I suddenly lost the poll. So if you can bear with me for a second.
I got it, Karen.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. And Adam, there's some great comments. I don't know if you've seen the chat.
Yeah, we can see the comments. I think the comments self-capture, don't they?
Yes.
From memory.
So Adam, are you going to walk through the comments? Because I think Todd's got captured the
well, yeah, I know yeah, Simon, thank you very much. I'm brilliant. I'm kind of a bit distracted by the comments and sort of trying to think of things to say, but maybe Jill and Laurie can do that too. Great, thank you. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of experts as we categorize them here on this session. So I imagine you're highly familiar with what's on the website, and that's just one set of perspectives. But yeah, let's reflect on that. Thank you for people's time. Are there any other? I sort of open it to any other sort of burning website related comments or questions people have.
I think it's quite interesting that there's definitely a view that we need to refresh it. We need to update our logo. We need to basically make it look more modern and slightly more accessible. So Jill, would you like me to keep the results up, or should I stop sharing?
No, I think that's absolutely fine. I was again exactly the same as Adam, scrolling through the chat and getting all of that information. But it's actually great to see it. We kind of thought along those lines, but what we wanted to do was get buy-in from everybody. So this is stuff that we had already kind of thought about. So it's good to see that the general consensus is it kind of needs a bit of sexing up. That's the word that I like to use. So that's very much what we have to go back and sort out. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much. Much appreciated. And I will capture all the comments. There's some fantastic ones in the chat there. So we will definitely come back and capture those comments moving forward. And I'll get them across to you, Jill, Adam, and Tim. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Karen.
Okay, so let me move on to talk about future-proofing the TMF reference model. And I'm glad that we now have over 60 people on this call. We are recording this call. There's a very important process that we're going through at the moment. And as you said, it's all about you guys as the community. And so what we want to do is walk through where we are, what we're doing, and then just give you some insight into what we're seeing what we're thinking as a steering committee, and to get you guys involved as much as possible. So as a reminder, we presented on this a few meetings ago, where we said, look, we are a group by the industry for the industry. The whole point of the reference model, it's owned by us, it's freely available, we control it, but we need to make sure it's future-proofed. We need to make sure that this model changes as things evolve, and we want to be transparent about what we're doing, and we want basically everybody who's involved in the reference model to help guide the future, and to make sure that we are going in the right direction and that we are future-proof, as I said. And just as a reminder as to how we got here in the first place, we started in March 2009, and we were just a silly little group of people who thought we could do something. And over the years, we've grown, we've formalized, we've got a steering committee, we've got charters, we've had releases, we've got change control board. We really have done a lot over the years, and we're now sitting in whatever month this is, September 2021, and saying, okay, so what does the future hold? The world is changing, it's becoming more digital, it's becoming more data-driven. It's becoming more interoperable. How can we make sure the reference model stays along with that? So what we've been doing is we've been doing a process called strategy on a page. And so Fran, if I could ask you as our expert consultant who's been guiding us through this process to come on and just tell everybody a little bit about what a SOAP is, because I must admit, I had no idea when we started.
Thanks, Karen. Happy to do it. And I invite anybody on the steering committee who has any reflection to pop in here while I just give you guys an idea of what a strategy on a page is all about and why we chose to use this methodology to join the steering committee as a unit and deliver a strategy on a page version 0.9 to you all to get your reflections as well. So I'm just here to give you an overview and insights into what a SOAP, strategy on a page, is all about. Go ahead, Karen. And freely pop things in the chat if you have any questions as I go through this material. So strategy on a page is just an exercise. It's just a way to get a group of people together and get everybody on literally the same page. What strategy on a page delivers is agreement on the organization's goals and strategy. It's a one-page item that has a visual impact and lets everybody know where this community is at. So outcomes for a SOAP, the effort can include more alignment with the community and all the stakeholders, clarity for our future directions, speed, that the strategy on a page is not about how we're going to do it, it's about what are we all about, why are we all here, and what are our goals for the next 2 to 3 years. We can also help organizations get resources and time wisely deployed, delivering effective communications and effective marketing so that we're all speaking the same message together. And really, the effort here is just to make sure that we're clear as we look at future-proofing the model. So, got the steering committee together and presented just the exact same slides I'm presenting to you. And it's a lot to sort of lean into and take on. So be patient with yourself as you consider, okay, what is this effort all about and how does this work for us? It's a visual that has 3 pillars. Well, those pillars are 3 or 4 main goals, objectives for the community. Each goal and objective has, what does the success look like? If we met that objective, what are the success factors that will indicate to us over a 2 to 3 year period that we've met our goals? On the top of the strategy of a page is a mission statement, and you craft the mission statement after you look at the goals and your success factors. And then we'll take this material, we're going to share a zero dot something version with you all, because we cannot complete the strategy on the page without bringing it to the community and getting everyone's participation. So if you think about what it might look like, we're choosing to go in a sort of a temple, really. Sort of what you see there is a Greek model, but our final visual might be a little bit different looking. The top of the pillar, the overstructure will be the mission statement, and then we'll have the pillars that identify the objectives. Underneath each objective will be success factors. If we meet that objective, success will look like 1, 2, 3. And then at the base of this, these pillars, we can use that open base to include more words about what drives us, what motivates us, what are we all in here for, what are some of the other pieces that we never forget about. One more slide, Ms. Karen. Nope, that's it. So if we go back to the pillars, the visual. Thank you. So just take a pause here and see if there's any immediate questions on SOAP and what is SOAP all about and what are we doing next. Karen's going to take you into some of the results of this effort that it's been going on since, May? April. It's been going on a long time for the steering committee, and we've dug in hard so that we don't have to dig in hard as a large community, but what's coming up next in very short order is reflections from the community about the SOAP, and Karen will talk more about that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Fran. Much appreciated. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about now, it was a bit close, sorry. What I'm going to talk about now is what we've been doing as a group. What's the progress that we've made? And it's been really fascinating. And we want, as I say, we want to be really as transparent as possible with you to tell you what we've been looking at and the direction we've been taking. So, and Fran has been guiding us through this process. So Fran, thank you very much again for all the work you've been doing on that. First of all, we did a survey to capture our thoughts on 5 different things. You know, what have we been offering? So the questions you've got there, what do we deliver? How valuable? What won't we do? What have we accomplished? All that, what have we not accomplished? All of that was put down, and we all basically spent a lot of time putting down what we thought we'd done over the last 10 years. Our purpose, why do we exist? What can we do better? What's hampered us? And what are our limits? Our customers. This is an interesting one. Who are our customers, VIP customers? Who haven't we served? Who won't we serve? Our goals, and then our success. What does success look like? What does failure look like? So we then got together and as a steering committee did a workshop to discuss our responses and to really look at the goals, consolidate our goals. And then we had another workshop where we agreed basically the principles of what the main objectives were going to be. And underneath those main objectives, we also looked at success factors. So underneath the main objectives, we also said, what do we think the success factors would be? And then we consolidated everything and we did a couple of surveys. First survey, we sort of gave a level of importance to everything, and then we came together and we said, okay, that's the level of importance. Now let's try and work out what the top factors are that we see as the top factors underneath each of those pillars. Now, again, remember, this is the steering committee's view where we want to share it with you so that you understand what we're thinking and where we're thinking of going. Put your thoughts in the chat box. And again, this is a reference model for you, the community, and to see what you think, you know, the direction we should be going in. So the first pillar we looked at was, we called it evolution. We tried to come up with a word, and this is really about the reference model evolving, looking at being able to incorporate different models, being able to incorporate data, not just documents. So really evolving from a sort of a flat Excel spreadsheet into something a little more, not user-friendly, but a little more, sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of the pictures. There we are. A little more usable from an interoperable perspective, from a system perspective. So the list that you can see there are the different success factors that we agreed between, we all put in together, and then again we all voted. And so you can see, I'm not going to read through every single one, but while you're looking at the screen, any comments you want to make, obviously put them into the chat. But really we were looking at the three top ones that we were voting on was around it being an extensible TMF scheme, so really being able to expand to easily to include sub-artifacts, metadata, etc. Something being able to be interoperable and being able to include other types of models like ISF, real world, etc. And then having better tools, something like a database to be able to manage, distribute the reference model standard. So they're the sort of areas that we're focused on. And what we're going to do once we've got some feedback, we will probably be putting out some sort of survey as well to get your opinions on what you think of the different pillars and the different success factors. We will be putting together a mission statement based on that once we've got agreement. I think we really are at a bit of a crossroads in terms of directions of travel, etc. I think some of the pillars are sort of more logical and easy to not explain, but agree on, and others are a little more controversial. So the next pillar that we have is the community pillar. So this is about leadership, about future vision, about continuity. And there's clearly a very, very important area that almost everybody thinks, which is around the robust, transparent, dedicated steering committee leadership. And again, we're a steering committee that's leading reference models. So obviously our concern is going to be, do we have people to lead it going forward? Because shockingly, not all of us are going to be doing this all the time. For the rest of us, we're not always going to be here. So how can we maintain that leadership and that drive? And that, when obviously around that, we need to have a future focused charter, vision, mission. So rather than just being in the day and doing the work in the day, actually, where are we going with this as a model? And then the other one is around active working groups and driving membership, so that everybody who's a member of the reference model is actively involved in what we're doing and how we're working. This doesn't say that everything else down the bottom isn't important. And actually, we had a lot of debate as well about, well, some of these aren't success factors, so, or what success looks like. Some of these are the how do you get it? So for example, the website, we've combined that with communication methods, etc. That's really a how in some ways is going to get our groups, our active working groups, driving membership, getting people more involved. The website will do that. The website will also help from a communication perspective. So that's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 probably will have the most discussion associated with it, because this is the formalization pillar. This is, what are we going to do? How are we going to change as a body? Now, obviously, everybody seemed to feel that we need to have proper engagement with the regulators, industry bodies, well, nearly everybody, like ICH, showing the regulators the reference models produced by the expert representation from the industry, et cetera, et cetera. How we get there is going to be the big discussion. We also all agreed it needed to be the de facto industry standard for the reference model with global adoption. And we also had a number of people. Now, what's interesting with this one is that we had a much more even spread through this one in terms of what we need to be doing. And the one that I think is going to cause the most conversation is the one around a governed standard with formal rules and affiliation with the standards authority. It's a really difficult question to answer exactly what we do going forward, but we are at a crossroads where we need to make a decision. Are we going to take this and head down the standards route or not? And so again, anybody who has strong views, it's not just the steering committee that decides. This is all of us, all of you that decide where we're going from here. And then the fourth pillar, I think, is a simpler one, but yet a very important one. It's an expansion one. So it is, where do we go? Do we stay just reference model, or do we go beyond the reference model focus? Up in more recent times, every time someone's asked us to do an initiative, we've said, does it fit in with the charter? Is it just a reference model? And now what we're saying is actually, should we actually go beyond it? Should we actually change the name to reflect this? Do we want to not be the TMF reference model? Because that implies an Excel spreadsheet in some ways. Do we want to be bigger and broader than that? Do we want to have metrics for completeness, timeliness? We're going to be talking about timeliness in a few minutes. Quality. Do we want to be sharing best practices? We used to do that, a lot more of that. Then we sort of slowed it down and focused on the model. Do we want to extend past that? So what hopefully this has done is given you an idea as to what we're thinking. But as I said, this reference model belongs to you, the industry, the TMF reference model community. If people want to be involved and volunteer and contribute ideas, we will be doing surveys. We need to get you guys engaged, and we will therefore have something to present to you and get your opinions and take it from there. So that was all I had to say, but there is a lot of comments going on, and I want to see whether the comments is right. Thank you, Fran, for putting up the comments. If anybody got any comments they want to add or anything, you're more than welcome to either put it in the chat, send me a private message, email me. If you want to have some thoughts, get involved. If you disagree with anything we're doing. But as there's nobody that's disagreeing with anything we're doing, then hopefully you found that interesting. And I would like to move on to the next topic.
It'd be great if we had a poll for this slot, Karen, just asking everybody, do you have any idea what we just said? I want to just reflect on the steering committee experience, because I've done SOAPs with various organizations, and it's a lot to take on. It's a lot to understand. It is a lot of rich material. So give yourself time to consume this. Recommend you take the slide deck and re-reflect on it, and get your questions up there. It is critical that everyone feels like they understand what's going on and that they participate in what's going on. So we wanted to make sure y'all got some overview insights before we dig into the work with you.
Absolutely, completely agree. And if anybody does think, oh, actually, I don't really, I'd like some more information, please tell us, because it's at these meetings that we communicate this. So I think it's very interesting to get people's views on it. So please do give a chat, even if you think that we're wasting our time, which, as I said, it's a crossroads. Let us know. But I think it is a lot of very interesting information. Talking about interesting information, I'm now going to completely flip and talk about a specific topic. And well, I'm not going to do anything, actually. I'm going to hand over to Mary. So what I'm going to do is take the slides down, if that's okay. And I'm going to introduce Mary and Joanne and Kathy, who are going to talk about managing and reporting timeliness. And I have your polls ready to go. So I'm going to come off my camera. Mary, hi. Kathy, hi. And Joanne, hello. So over to you guys, and just let me know when you want me to run the polls.
Okay, so quick question, Karen. Is the poll going to be like Adam's poll where it's just a series of questions, or is it one at a time?
It is in as, I'm afraid I put it in as a timeliness, so it's all 3 questions.
It's
but
all
what
3.
I can
Okay,
do,
that's fine.
they have to answer all 3 questions. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's great. So thanks everyone, Kathy and Joanne especially, for participating on the panel. Just to give a bit of background before we start the polls, and then once we get the results from the polls, we'll discuss. So several weeks ago, as a steering committee, we began to discuss how we're measuring timeliness. And I posed the question to the group because at Pfizer, we've been talking about different timeliness measures and really what's the best approach, and maybe it's multiple approaches. So with that, why don't we launch the poll and get your feedback, and then we can discuss the results.
Yep, no problem at all. Hang on, I'm just, for some reason, hold on, I need to change the polls. There you go. Right. I have launched it. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Perfect. I'll let you know how the participation is going. We've got about 60 people who could answer, so please everybody answer. And I actually put in some answers. You'll notice, Mary, that if it wasn't relevant, like I'm a vendor, I just thought rather than, you wanted the people that are actually measuring the timeliness. So
thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Karen.
Split it out. The answers are coming in fast. We're about halfway now.
That's true, Kathy. I just saw your comments.
37, right. So we should end up with about 50 people answering. So we're a few off.
Okay. Yeah, we still have, it looks like we still have 59 in the meeting.
Yes, we do. But I can't answer them. So I definitely got, and you guys aren't answering them. So we're nearly there. I'd say we're approaching 80% participation now. So I think probably I can probably close it off. Let me just see if anybody else is going to have one in. No, I'm going to end the poll. Sorry and I'm going to share the results. There you go.
Okay. So it looks like 60% measure timeliness, but then we also have folks who are from vendors or consultants. And it looks like almost half and half, document date to finalization versus receipt date to finalization, not too many using the due date. And then everybody, I think, has a pretty much equal weight on the challenges. So let's talk about these challenges. And Kathy and Joanne, if you could just share some of your thoughts, maybe Joanne, what you're using to measure timeliness, and then what the challenges are with that.
Sure. We we look at timeliness for key documents. For some documents, such as CVs or medical licenses, they will have dates that are not within the study timeline. They're usually produced before, so we take those out of the mix. And we actually have 2 categorizations. One is for the basically study documents, and then for site documents. We measure from the finalization date of that document to when it's actually uploaded into our TMF. Basically, we know that, site documents take a little bit longer to get in because they have so many hands to go through. So in those cases, we have a longer period of time for the documents to be sent in. So for our CRO and sponsored documents, it's 30 days. For site documents, it's 60 days, because most of our CROs only pick up the documents from the site when they go out for a visit.
Mhm.
So we do a calculation, and it's based on compliance to those expectations. So it's not, it's a yes, no question. So were you compliant to the 30 days or to the 60 days? Yes or no? And then we report out on that, and we expect that the threshold is currently 80%. So this is something that everybody struggles with, including, most surprisingly, the CRO and sponsored documents. So in those cases, you would think that, you know, you're creating the documents internally, you can just quickly pop them into the TMF. But, you know, as we all know, documentation is not everyone's favorite topic. So it sits on someone's desk until often well past the due date. So,
Right,
mhm.
right. Thank you, Joanne.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess excluding documents, have you met any challenges during inspections or audits with those exclusions?
Yeah, more with our internal staff, because they are wondering, well, why don't you care about the document that I'm interested in regarding timeliness? And it's like, well, it's not that we don't care about it, it's that we can't objectively measure it.
Mhm.
So it's, you know, we try to pick key documents, and hopefully those would be indicative of what the rest actually are following.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So Kathy, what are you seeing on the vendor side? You're on mute.
A lot of the same challenges that Joanne has already mentioned. So the approach that we've taken, because there are so many factors, you know, like we say, is this document created for the trial, or is it an existing document that it's reused? Is it even a document that's authored in the system and thus takes on a whole different set of dates associated with it? So the approach we've sort of taken is to measure as much as possible, and then provide a dashboard that lets you select what you want to look at. So do you want to just look at site documents? Do you want to just look at documents that have a certain risk level, or exclude documents that, like Joanne was saying, about that where the receipt date or the document date is less relevant? And then we provide a calculation for every part of the life cycle and let you break it down that way. So you can actually see, instead of just like, what's my timeliness? It's like, well, let's look at that in a little bit more detail. What part of the process is taking long? You know, what percent are going through a QC rework process, and how long is that taking? So to give you more detailed information that lets you construct an approach for mitigation or continuous process improvement.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I think that that's really interesting, and it's helpful if you can measure different slices. We've been looking at my company. We've been looking just at that, trying to see, okay, if we have both a document date and a receipt date, what are our averages? What are the medians? And are we within an expected range there? Or if we want to look at our due dates, right? How well do we perform against those due dates? I think the challenge with the due dates, one, is ad hoc documents don't have a due date. And two, at least for us, sometimes we're relying on a milestone, and we've got a really long period of time between milestone 1 and milestone 2. And so those due dates don't really support the notion of a contemporaneous TMF. So Yeah, so it is definitely a challenge. One question that I guess I'll ask Joanne and Kathy, and it occurs to me we should have put this in a poll, is do you think there should be an industry standard for this? And if there should, is that a standard way to measure? Is that a standard threshold? What would you recommend it look like?
That's rough. Each CRO, each sponsor does things differently. So I guess I could say, if there was an industry standard, I would want it to be something that's a benchmark that people can say, well, our company wants something quicker. Maybe we want, rather than 30 days, we want things in 15. I think it all really depends on how the sponsor is going to also use that information, because obviously if you are setting an expectation, you want to measure it and make sure that your parties, whoever they are meeting it. Mm-hmm. So, is this something that you expect your CROs to do, your internal staff? So if there is an industry standard, it probably needs to be sort of flexible or maybe viewed as a guidance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have thoughts, Kathy?
Yes. So again, I think that the word standard is probably a little bit prescriptive, and a guidance might be better, or an expectation of what all the other kids are doing, right? It's like, and you kind of need to go back to the purpose of why do we measure this? We don't measure it just randomly. It's because the health authorities expect the TMF to be contemporaneous. And that all sort of traces back again to, is that document in place when it's needed by somebody? Mm-hmm. And so I would expect that the guidance to be based on, how long can you go without this thing and before it's a problem? And that again traces back to risk level of individual documents. And so if it's something that's almost a write-only document that people don't actually need to consult, we don't care as much if it's contemporaneous, at least if you dive into the details, then, was this protocol amendment filed in a timely manner so that anybody who needed to consult it would have access to it?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that's a great point. We are getting lots of comments in the chat. And one comment that I think is interesting about, this is from Elvin, and the way that we will do trials in the future. So I think it's interesting, Elvin. I think what you're suggesting is that we will have more data than documents, and that data would more easily flow through. I hope I'm interpreting your comment correctly as I'm trying to read through all of these. Yes. So, well, this is great information. I know for many of you, benchmarking with other companies, at least for me, is really helpful to keeping the perspective current, and also aligning with, of course, expectations from regulators. So Kathy, Joanne, before we close, did you have any further comments?
Sure. One of the things that we did find from a European inspection recently was the inspector didn't like our 30 days. They thought it should be less.
Really?
Because,
wow.
Yeah, they figured that it was not really contemporaneous because of the 30 days. And I was like, well, if you figured out all the hands that were involved in bringing that in, 30 days is probably great, but I do understand the concern. And at times I'm wondering, especially for our internal documents that are finalized, why people take so long to get them to the TMF. But I did want to pass that on.
Thank you. Yeah.
And my thought is just that even if you don't know what your standard or should be, or exactly what conclusions you want to draw, data is power. So if you once you start measuring something, then you can examine it and start trying to understand the significance, the outliers, the risk factors. So maybe even if you don't know what to do with your timeliness numbers initially, if you get rich data, then you have a chance to move yourself along in terms of what is really important.
That's a great point, Kathy. And I think, Joanne, my experience with timeliness is similar to what you're reporting from an inspector perspective. Although from an audit perspective, we were getting feedback internally that we have a 35-day measure, and that 35 days was too long, and we were asked to consider a different measure or a different threshold. And Kathy, to your point, we have been reviewing the data, generating new data, reviewing a lot of the data to see, well, what are the patterns, right? What are the, what's the median? And then if I have a lot of outliers, what does that mean? Is it statistically significant that I've got 15% outliers, or is that in range with the volume of documents that we're managing? And I don't have all the answers on this, but we have convened a small group of folks to really dig into it, because like you say, data is power, and when we have this information, we can more readily respond to auditors or key feedback about why we're doing something a particular way, and an honest discussion about the drawbacks to doing it a different way. And I see comments in the chat that suggest that every company is different, and that studies are also different, and so you could be pivoting, but I don't think from an efficiency perspective and a single a standard that you can really change your measure study by study. I think you really have to select a measure or multiple measures and then follow those and see what they're telling you. So I think that's it for us on the timeliness. Karen, did you have any further comments that you wanted to add?
No, we don't have a lot left really to talk about. So it was more just if there was any questions or comments that people had in the chat. It's obvious that it's a very hot topic for everybody. This will be recorded, and people will have access to it. We'll make sure people know that there's a nice chat about timeliness. But no, it was more just if there was any points to make. Then feel free to comment on them. I don't know whether I see a huge amount of chat.
Yes,
which is great.
Yes. There is, and I'm not sure that there's anything else to bring forward.
There are some
due date. So on due date. Yeah.
Well, there's some interesting conversations that we could have around things like comments about whether we should have a regulation for TMF timeliness. That sounds like a nice poll that could go out to people to see whether everyone thinks there should be some sort of regulation or not. So.
Yeah, Fran is asking if we could view the initial survey results again. Are you able to show those?
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me just find them. Hold on. Polls, share results. Has that worked?
Yes, thank you.
And actually, if somebody could just take a screenshot, because I forgot to ask.
Oh, okay. So I think most people agree that the biggest challenge is your document dates are naturally outside a timeliness window. And the concept of receipt date, personally, I think that is a real challenge, that people understanding what receipt date is it's subjective, right? It ends up being a subjective call. And we're actually considering adjusting that term from receipt date to TMF ready date to help people better understand what we mean by it, right? When we say receipt date, it's when that document is TMF ready. So that may be for an internal document the same as the document date. But for another kind of document, Joanne, site level documents, then, you know, it's a different date. So. Mhm. And then on the due dates, somebody who, sorry, let me, so Suzanne, you were asking if somebody can comment on due date. I guess, do you mean how it could be used?
Or maybe how you assign a due date, which is a complex subject.
Yes.
What
It's
is
probably
a
a
due date?
whole
Yes.
other subject in itself.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I think that's what she's asking here, because I see now, what is due date? Yeah. For us, we set due date either by an event or a milestone, except with ad hoc documents that don't have a due date.
And we don't use the due date as a real date. We have milestones that define this period of time is when the document is actually expected. So it's not a, you know,
Not a fixed date.
a fixed date.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we use similar event dates and milestone dates, but also things like if it's an expiring document that's replaced, and the due date would be based on when the old one expired. And there's various sort of edge conditions and exceptions that make things complex. Like what if you generate an investigator newsletter every 3 months and things like that. But,
Yeah. It's true. I think using due dates for timeliness is complex, but if you can get the right level of granularity and have enough feeds from upstream systems, it's probably the most accurate. It just is.
It's the best we have, and without that, you can't measure completeness. So
right.
you have to do the best you can and suffer the you know, the areas where it's not perfect.
Well, Mary and ladies, I'd love to say thank you very, very much. That's absolutely perfect timing, because we have about 30 seconds to go. And what I'm going to do very quickly is just share my screen again. So thank you again, much appreciated. And I'm going to just say that we have a couple of conferences coming up. I don't actually know if the HSRIA one is going ahead. I don't know if there's anybody on the call who could let me know. I meant to ask. But the Fierce TMF Summit is going ahead. And I'm going to be very sad and say that it's New Orleans and virtual. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to New Orleans because I'm not allowed in. So I'm going to be virtual, but everybody else will be there. So hopefully for everybody who's in the States, you can get to there as well. And the final comment that I wanted to just say was around the next meeting, which is on the 15th of November. And I promise that we will not have the same mess with the website, and we'll make sure there's plenty of notice that goes out. So again, I think we got a lot of people on, but I'm very sorry about the change in date. I think it's been a very interesting meeting with a mixture of things today. So the website, what are we doing with the future, our future vision? Anybody who wants to get involved or has more questions, please come back to us. And then of course, finally with so the whole lot of expertise coming from Kathy and Mary and Joanne. So thank you very much, ladies. So without further ado, I'll say thank you very much. Hopefully dead on time, and we will speak to you on the 15th of November. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Karen. Bye.
Bye.